All right. Well, we are here again for another episode of an Angry Black Woman podcast. I am really excited about today's show. Um, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know, um, November is National Adoption Month. And so we have two shows this month where we are talking about different aspects of the adoption, um, the adoption process. And so I'm here with Red Dragon the Poet as always.
Hello,
Don't forget
hello.
to like, subscribe, and follow. And of course, you can hear us on several podcast platforms, and we're on several social media platforms. So um, make sure you go and visit us there. How you doing today, Red Dragon?
I am doing okay. I'm
Good,
doing okay.
good. So, like I said, this is a two-part episode, and we will journey down the road with two different women who will share their adoption stories. And today we have Miss Reva Wilson. How you doing today, Reva?
Hey, I'm good yourself.
I'm doing good. So, normally when people think about adoption, the notion of foster care comes to mind, and being a part of that story doesn't necessarily compute, like people just go about their day and they don't really think about foster care. And then if they do, it always follows with a negative connotation. So many of us are acquainted with a friend or family member who was placed in foster care because of abuse or neglect or what have you, whatever the situation was. And of course, in my own family, it really was a source of a lot of contention between the aunts. So on my mother's side, I had quite a few aunts when they were all alive. And one of the aunts died. She was one of the favorite aunts, and she died, and she had five boys. And so, me being a youngster, and I was always ear hustling, and I would hear the arguments about to place or not to place my cousins in adoption, in foster care, to split them up. Like it was a horrible time in our family, with the aunts trying to decide what to do. One of them ultimately came to live with us. And then I don't know what happened, but he lived with us for a long time. And then I don't know what happened, but I guess maybe the state said that he had to go to foster care. And my mom I mean, she was broken. She cried. Oh my God, she cried. I don't know, a good 2 weeks straight when um, he was taken. And it really was so bad that it almost tore my whole family apart. So I was real young, but I tried to get the 411. But a lot of times we don't know what goes on in adoption. Uh, I mean, I'm sorry, in foster care, and we don't know everything that happens with foster care kids. And we hear about the atrocities. We hear about sometimes the stories where someone was placed in foster care and then adopted out of foster care. We hear a lot of different stories about foster care. But today, it is my great privilege to have Reva uh, join our conversation to share her story. So y'all need to like, subscribe, and follow, because I know the story is getting ready to go down. It's getting ready to be good. Y'all need to hear this, because this story, if I tell you, when I heard this story, I was so inspired. I was inspired by this story. Y'all got okay, like, subscribe, follow. Yeah. I'm shut up because y'all got to hear this story. It is a wonderful testimony of strength and resilience. Reva, I'm so happy to have you with us today. Take us from the beginning. Um, I know it's not a long show, but take us from the beginning and share your story with us, if you will.
Okay, so I was placed in foster care when I was about 6 or 7 years old, about 6 years old. I'm the oldest of 8 children.
Mhm.
Um, at the time, before being placed in foster care, home was crazy. We moved around a lot. It was a lot of abuse going on. It was a lot of things that was going on in the family that you would think is normal until you're not in that family and you see that it's not normal and it wasn't supposed to be normal, but you lived it like a normal life because that's all you knew as a child. Uh, when I was placed, the state came and removed us. But at the time of them trying to remove us, my mother and father at the time tried to get us, run away with the state trying to come. So we left through our back door and climbed over some gates, to a couple neighbors down for them to hide us out. But the neighbors, turned us in because at the end of the day, they didn't want to be involved with what was going on. They like it's craziness. My first foster home was me, my one brother, and my one sister at the time. It was four of us cooking. Um, at the time, it was only us four that was born. And three of us went to one home together, and my baby sister went to another home. Um, the first foster home was crazy. We lived in the basement, but that's where we slept. We only had oatmeal all the time. And except for when I got really sick, I got so sick from something that my skin was peeling, I was throwing up, and they allowed me to sleep upstairs, so that way I can get better. The home life there was so miserable that I ran away. Uh, and it just so happened I ran away after school, and it just so happened that we lived down the street from Shelton Hill Mall. So I ran away and sat at the mall. And somebody I seen from school came and they brought me into the mall and turned me into um the floss and found. When they filmed my information and sent me back to the home I was at, the lady beat me so bad with a telephone cord. And the next couple of days, we were going out of their home, me and my siblings. Once I left that home, I went to where my baby sister was at, and my brother and sister who was with me went to a home together. And that home was really nice. At the time, I don't remember like the area, but as I got older, I recognized it more, and it was in West Philadelphia. And it was really nice, but it was a lot of kids that lived there. So we had went to what was called respite, where if the foster parent was going away or doing something or needed a break, the foster child or children will go stay with somebody else for like a few days, and then they will go back. So me and my baby sister went to a respite home, and the lady ended up wanting to keep us. So after a while, once going back and forth between those two for a while, the two homes, we ended up staying with the lady who didn't have no children. And it was there that was up Germantown Avenue. And it was really nice, but I was in a state of depression, not knowing I was in depression at 6 and 7. You don't know what you're going through. You just know that you're sad all the time. You just want to go home. You tired of moving around. You're tired of being in different homes. And I tried to commit suicide. I tried to unalive myself. Um, at that point, I went to a place called Child Guidance Children's Hospital. It's a children's hospital for children with either mental or behavior problems. And I was there. It was actually a few different times in my life as a child. Um, and went to multiple different homes after that. And it just like nothing seemed to get better for me. Therapy never worked. But while I was in my foster home in Germantown, we was in church one Sunday, and the pastor was talking about something. I'm not quite can't quite remember exactly what he was talking about, but I know it was about, watching your children and people not, taking advantage of them. And at that point, that's when I told my foster mom that I was sexually assaulted, that I was raped, and had to go through details with her, and then had to go through details with social workers. And for years, it was a process. We finally, I had to go to different doctor's appointments to get checked to, prove that, what I was saying was true. We even got ready to go to court, and I never had my day in court. I was about 11 and I was prepping for court, and I was at a place called Silver Springs at that time in Philadelphia. And I was with a new foster home by then, and they was prepping me for court. And I was going to the courthouse, and they was telling me what, just like you would see it on TV, how they do children on TV. They prep you, they sit you there, you sit, where you're gonna sit at, where the people are gonna be at, the judge, you don't have to look at that person if you don't want to, all of like I was ready. I was ready to share my story. And he went to the judge the day of court and told the judge, I plead guilty. So I never got my closure.
Mm.
For years it haunted me. So it
Mhm.
only more and
Mhm.
more a state of oppression. And I didn't want to, for a long time, I want to deal with guys. I want to have a boyfriend. I couldn't have a male doctor, a male therapist. I couldn't be alone with male staffs. Don't give me a male teacher, like any of that. It took a long time for me to be comfortable with with guys being in the same room with a guy or a boy or anybody because of all the trauma I went through. But people get the notion that, you know, you have to, once you go into foster care, you're going to be adopted. At 13, they asked me if I wanted to be adopted. I told them no. I wanted to give my biological mother a chance to come get me, which never happened. I ended up finding her at 18, but my brothers and sisters was all adopted. They told me they was going to get adopted. We went to visits every other week. And then the visits got to the point where I would go to the visits and one less kid was there. Then I would go to another visit and another kid would not be there.
And you're
To the
talking
point where
about your siblings, right? You'd go there and then one sibling would be missed, wouldn't be there, and then you go back to another sibling wouldn't be there.
yeah,
Okay.
to the point where I was going to visits and I was there by myself because nobody was letting me know like you would no longer be having visits. They wasn't letting me or my workers know anything. I was literally showing up to these places with snacks and toys and everything for my siblings, like I would do every visit, and nobody would show up. And that only put me in a more deeper state of depression. Like, and
Mm.
I just every chance I got, I just did not want to be around no more, like at all. And then it was like, well, they were adopted. And first they told me, even if they get adopted, I'll still be able to see them.
Mhm.
But then the foster parents reneged and said, you know what, we don't want them to have nothing to do with, which wasn't fair. Like I didn't do anything to them.
Mhm.
They were big, like I didn't, they don't none of us deserve it. We all know of each other. So
They were aware that you had siblings and wouldn't allow you to communicate with them?
yeah,
Mm.
they all decided because they was all in the process of getting adopted, and they all decided, oh, at first it was be even though it's adoption, she'd still be able to see her siblings. Their siblings will all still be able to see each other. But then they all decided behind to the judge they didn't want to, the foster parents, adoptive parents decided they didn't want to have nothing. It was too much for them to deal with. So they decided no more visits.
They decided it was okay to break up a family
Yeah,
even more.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
At that point, I do have a question because in the Child Welfare Information Gateway, the first thing they talk about is placement decisions. And they're talking about placements being made is important for the child's safety, beyond safety, their well being, continued connection to their community, uh, the needs of the child, caretakers' ability to meet their needs. Now, when you take into effect that they are trying to keep the well-being of the child and what's best for the child at the center, it and it's plain as day right here that you're supposed to be adhering to the safety, well-being, and welfare of a child. So I don't understand how separating already traumatized siblings,
Right.
separating them, and then saying it's too much of a chore to give them the stability to keep a relationship with each other, and on top of being shuffled around. So my next question is, given this failsafe just falling through the cracks where that's concerned, were you able at all at some point to find, link up, or reconnect with your sibling?
So as after I got older, I became grown. Um, Before I became grown, my brother, even though he was adopted,
Mm-hmm.
he was put back into the system. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
um,
So how long had he been with this family before they put him back in the system? Do you know?
I don't know. I
Okay.
just know that I was in high school and um and I was in high school and my social workers told me that my brother was at the facility I used to be at, which was Silver Springs, and they wanted to arrange visits for us. And I was super ecstatic, like, yes. So we started having visits. When I would have cookouts, I made it a point to have have my social worker and his social worker link up so that way he could come to my house for events. Um, to a point where even when he got moved from one facility to another, I would travel on the bus all the way up from North Philly to Chestnut Hill to go visit him and take him birthday stuff and Christmas stuff. Like I was so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then when I had my son at 20, I got pregnant with my son at 19, had him at 20. My brother was there for nephew. He got
Mm-hmm.
to see him. Um, and then before I got pregnant with my son, I filmed my mom at 18 and I wanted to give her a chance. They told me if I gave her a chance, I couldn't talk to my brothers and sisters. I can talk to them, but or him, but I could not allow them to talk to each other because she had lost all rights. So even though me and him was socialized, I wouldn't put him if I even though I was living with her, I moved in with her at 18. I wouldn't put him on, I wouldn't give her the phone. I wouldn't let them talk. And my brother felt some type of way about that. I had also felt my sister because my baby sister was at the same home that she was at that we went to together. So also her foster mom was like, if you're gonna go deal with your mom, you can't talk. She was like, you can't talk to her. So I had to cut all contacts with my sister in
Oh,
order to give my mom a chance.
wow.
And then after that, once it didn't work out with me, and my mom, and I moved back to from Delaware back to Philadelphia. Um, I was able to reconnect with my brother. I was able to reconnect with my baby sister. I had my son, and then I moved up Germantown, and then I found out that my other sister was also back in the system, and she was at the same facility that my brother used to be at. The second one he was at, because at this time my brother's now 18, he aged out by the time I had my son, and he decided to move and give my mom a better chance. So now he's not talking to me because he felt like I kept them apart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only way we was able to reconnect. But yeah, they were both my one brother and my one sister was both put back into the system, even though they were adopted. Their adopted parents put them back into foster care, um, for different reasons, and didn't want nothing else to do with them.
Mm.
Are you in touch with any of your siblings now?
So recently we just buried our mother, some weeks ago, a little, um, well, the end of last month. And because of her finding out she was sick and in the hospital and hospice, it actually brought us all back close together because I had to relay a message. I had to get in contact. I had to find a way. Like, we were in contact on and off with each other as
Mm-hmm.
adults, but it just wasn't seeming to work out at the time. Like, because everybody was still stuck on reliving the past and
Mm.
not trying to move forward with the future. But I had recently was like, I can't deal with this hurt and this pain anymore. So I gave my life to God. And I told him just to deal with, he can just take it all and deal with it how he how he feeds feel best for it. And then with this whole situation happening, it didn't bring us all closer together, but it brought that relationship that I had with my brother back.
Mm.
Because we were really close. We were. And me and my baby sister, we've been close since I moved back to Philadelphia after. So we've always had like a really close relationship. My other sister is still touch and go with her.
Mm.
And my brother who was raised with my mom, um, it brought him I can't say it brought him closure to the situation because he only understands her side of the story. He don't understand our point of view of our lives growing up and what we went through to get into where we were at into foster care because he didn't have to live that. So
Mm.
it's like a one day at a time with him. But for other family members, they're starting to realize and understand like the difference of things that's happening. And I'm just happy that, it was just like a weight lifted off. Because my one foster mom used to tell me all the time, I walk around with the weight of the world on my shoulder because I was in like this dark place. And like I was just an emotional child, like emotional adult, emotional teenager, like, and it's just like nothing, no matter what people say or nothing what people do, was going to change how I felt about anything. And it seemed like you take that one step forward
Mm-hmm.
just to get 4 steps back.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm. One of our viewers is identifying with your story. Um, the This particular viewer was a mom of one, a mom of one child. She had been married and divorced, but they were raising the child, amicably. Um, but she says that she identifies with your story because she is now the parent of her sister's children, multiple children. And she said that she identifies with the trying to keep them out of foster care and trying to keep them together as one unit. But she
yeah,
said she felt like that was really important, and she didn't get them until her son was practically grown.
right.
So she was finished living her life as a mom, so to speak. And now she's starting over with these small children, elementary age children, because her sister passed. And then when her, in this person's story, when the sister passed, the children went to grandma, and then grandma died. And so this person went and got the children from from her mother's house, and has been raising them for a while. And she said that was her biggest thing, was that she did not want the children to be separated. So already your story already your story is inspiring.
Yeah, like I know for a fact it's hard to keep siblings together, especially when it's a lot of them. And a lot of people, and it depends on the different ages. And even though we were all really little, like some people, they have that idea of wanting a certain type of child. And they're like, oh, I prefer a baby, because older kids, I don't want nobody over a certain age because they already dealt with the trauma, and I don't want to have to help them through it. And which is understandable because, like I said, as a child, me going through it, I found out that who I thought was my father wasn't my father, and everything he was doing to me made sense once I was placed into foster care.
Mhm.
So the person who I thought was my father was really my stepfather, was really my brothers and sisters' father. So it
Mm,
was all of their father. And I'm like, I don't want to hate my brothers and sisters for what their father did to me. But then what makes sense on why I was the one getting hurt. Like when my mom came home late from whatever she was doing, I was the one who got thrown against the wall. I missed so much school due to black eyes and hickeys and cuts and bruises all over my face and body. That the school district is who called social services on my home because I was coming to school, either I was coming to school hungry, or wasn't coming to school at all. I couldn't participate in anything the school was having for any reasons. Even when they say they will pay for, how it be that one teacher, oh, I pay for her to go, just let her go.
Mhm.
No, she can't go. Like it was like I can't be left alone with certain people because they felt like I was going to talk
mm-hmm.
into what was going on in the household. It got to the point where 911 knew my voice when every time I called
Wow.
Wow.
911. Like, because we didn't have cell phones then. It was house
Mhm.
phones. So they already
Right.
knew. Up,
Mhm.
same house again. It's that little girl. She's calling again. But I will call and tell them what's going on, and then the phone will go dead because my mom will come hang up. She would scream for me to call 911, but then when I called 911, she would hang up the
Mm-hmm.
phone. So the cop, they got hips. They would start coming out regardless because they knew something had to be going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like so it do become hard to keep, because even with my brother, he has children, and I always tell him like, if you can't do it, I will take that child for you so it could stay in my home, if stay in our family, rather than because we know how foster care is, we know how the system is. You have some workers that will go for bats for you, and then you have some workers that's only there for the paycheck
Mm-hmm.
because it becomes too stressful. So they just like, you know what, I'm just doing a bare minimum. I had a my DHS worker. I had the same worker from the time I was placed in the system. Even after I aged out, we still stayed in contact with each other. I can't say
Mhm.
this about other people because
Yeah. I have another viewer that's saying that they are a foster parent. They have, they actually, like you just mentioned, they had their goddaughter, and they were just raising their goddaughter as their own, but then they entered into the foster system to be a foster parent. And she says that you're right. She's agreeing with you that So she said her foster caseworker or the parent, she said she kind of see her at least every couple of weeks. She said, but for the kids, she sees that person, she hadn't seen them in like 3 months.
Right. And it
Now,
gets like that.
now I happen to know this person and they do watch the show. So I can tell you that, like you said, one or two of them can be good foster houses. Um, I've seen her like making sure she treat them exactly like her own, the first one.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you
Foster
know,
homes, foster parents, they're definitely are a touch and go. They could be a hit or miss when it comes to foster parents.
mm-hmm,
And it's up to the DHS system, the Department of Human Services system, to
mm-hmm,
find the right parents. And it's like they don't do a complete job when it comes to looking for the right parents or just letting anybody foster. You have a lot of people out here that really are really good and that will do for the child. Like my last foster home, I
mm-hmm,
love my last foster home. She was good. But when I got to that age where I was about to, where when you get older as a foster parent, you get a check every month, a stipend. But as you get older, the stipend get lower because the child needs don't need as much.
mm-hmm,
And the child is either going to age out and go into independent living or go to college or just age out and just go on their own.
mm-hmm,
Um, Especially once they don't decide they don't want to be adopted. And me and my foster mom got into it because she wanted me to contribute, pay something towards, like, give her part of my check for whatever job I was working. And I'm like, why? You know, as a 17-year-old person, I'm like, why do I gotta give you my check? Like, don't the state give you a check for me?
mm-hmm,
Even though they give you a check, it doesn't cover everything that I might have in my closet. It doesn't cover all the trips that we went on and all the vacations we went on and every time we went out to eat. It didn't cover that. But me as a kid in foster care, I didn't see that. I don't know how much they're giving the person, but you learn that as you get older. But it's like, why do I gotta give you a part of my check? Like, it's not much as is. Like, I'm only getting like a little part-time work check because I'm still in high school. But why do we want me to give you a part of my check? So we got into it because of that, and that's what made me at 18 go find my mom. So
mm-hmm,
it was like, well, if I'm gonna be somewhere and I gotta pay, like, I might as well just either go on my own or go find somebody who's gonna let me live with them for free.
mm-hmm,
Because at 18, like, why am I paying bills? I'm still a child. Like, I didn't look at myself as 18. Now I'm grown. I'm looking at, like, I'm still learning. I'm still a kid. Like, why I gotta pay you? Why pay anything? Like, and later down, I found out, she was like, you never knew what I was gonna do with that money. Like, that was me trying to help you start off, somewhere
um,
when you're ready. So, like, but it is some families that will, I have seen people or dealt with people that have wanted and it went to them and it was only giving the child that live with them the bare minimum. I
mm-hmm,
was in my last foster home, I was being treated like a child that lived there, like her own. Like, it was never no, oh, you're just my foster kid. Like, this is my kid. Like, it wasn't, oh, like, yeah, granted we did respite, but we also did a lot of vacations. I went on vacation. She took us to Disney. We went to New York. We went different places to Virginia. We went places.
mm-hmm,
Um, on a, I took my first plane ride when I was with her. Like, so, every once in a while, people need breaks, and I understand that. Shoot, I need breaks from my own kids every once in a while, and they're my kids. But so I understand now as an adult, but as a kid, you don't understand the stuff that that school that on the other side. But you see, like you see if that person's a good foster home, you're going to see like this person do the most for me with the minimum they're getting. But then you
mm-hmm,
see that this person ain't doing nothing for me and everything they get. Like, I have an obsession with like IDTV and like Criminal Mind and all that other stuff. And you see on there, like, I done seen like people on IDTV, people, their own kids, keeping them in like crawl spaces and not feeding them and beating them and abusing them and not doing nothing and collecting a check, so either Social Security or foster check for them and not doing nothing for them but providing for themselves or whatever their needs is, but the child not getting nothing. You know the difference when you see that compared to having a closet full of clothes, all this footwear you can think of, going places, kid come in and go in and out with your friends until a reasonable time, going out to, just having fun, living life and living like a child and doing extracurricular activities. I didn't want to go to my senior prom. My foster mom told me I was going, she paid for everything. She just told me to pick what I wanted and she paid for everything for my senior prom. Out of her own, she didn't have to do that, but she chose to. She wanted me to experience the life. And every foster parent is not like that.
So, how are you today, Reva? Do you still have moments when you go through these thoughts of suicide? Are you beyond that? Has your relationship with God helped you change that? Because you mentioned that earlier. How are you today?
Um, I still have my moments. In the beginning of the pandemic, I ended up actually being in the hospital for a month. Due to trying to commit suicide. It was just a lot going on in my life at the time, and it was selfish of me because I have children. And everybody be like, you're selfish, but nobody understand like how everything start weighing on you to the point where you like your kids are better off. And
Gotcha.
I was at a point where I feel like my children was better off. I'm in therapy, I take medicine, I do Bible study, I talk to God. I'm learning to communicate better with him now to help with the difference of how I feel. Like, granted, I still have my moments, but I have to look at my kids first because nobody can do what I do for them better than I do it. So
Amen.
it's a role. I tell everybody I take it's one day at a time. It's one day at a time. It's a
Wow.
process.
Well, one of our viewers is relaying their thanks to you. They say that this conversation, they're listening to the conversation, and they said that the conversation has helped them. So, and that's our theme. Red Dragon and I have talked about that. If we could help or inspire one person, then we've done something to help our community.
Right.
So one of our listeners has said that your story has helped them. They got a lot out of this. So another listener is asking, do you feel like you are going through PTSD?
I do. I was diagnosed with PTSD.
Okay.
I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, severe anxiety, and PTSD. I take medicine right now because I'm out of work and I'm the state I'm in. Because I'm out of work and I've been out of work due to my heart surgery, they cut my medical. So I'm fighting right now to get my medical back on, along with just everything else. And so that way I can get back on my right dosage of medicines, which helps. I have, since I was a kid, I've had like really bad nightmares, and they're like, it's like you ever seen Freddy Krueger?
Yes.
You know how like you're asleep, but you're woke in your sleep.
Yeah.
That's how my night terrors are. Like it could be, it don't have to be like terrible, but my dreams when I'm asleep, I'm living them
Mm-hmm.
as I'm not watching them, I'm interacting to the point
Mm-hmm.
where I wake up like, did we really have this conversation?
Mm-hmm.
I have to go ask that person like, hey, remember we was talking about this? And they was like, we never talked about that. And I'm like, no, yes, we did. We talked about this. I remember I remember the full conversation. They were like, no, we didn't. We didn't have that conversation. And that's how vivid my dreams are. So I
Mm-hmm.
take medicine to help with that because it's like to the point where I wake up in hot sweats. Like it's bad. But now
Mm-hmm.
I'm fighting with the welfare system, the states to get my medical back on. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I I am inspired in a different way. I'm inspired and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because we, a lot of us have lost our sense of family. And to hear your story, my first thought was, where's your aunties, uncles, cousins? Why are they knowing what's going on in the home?
they
And
didn't.
no one, okay. And
It was a secret in my home.
okay.
My
That
grand
was my question. Yeah. When
yeah,
I
so
heard that.
as I got older and I start finding family, and it was like,
Mhm.
oh, so we was looking for you for years. Nobody knew we were in foster care. And then when they did
Wow.
find out, when they did find out, they were already in like their own
Mhm.
turmoils with their own selves, like,
Mhm.
family dealing with all types of stuff on their own. They didn't have the means to take any of us. They couldn't help us. But it was years, like years later when they
Mhm.
found out we were in foster care. My grandparents didn't even know. Like
That's
everything was
amazing.
like my mom kept everybody in the dark about
Mhm.
where we were at to the point where she went and hid. Like she moved to another state. She moved to Chester County first, Chester, and then she moved to Delaware just to stay away from family. So that way she wouldn't even run into nobody and they ask her where are the kids.
Mm.
Especially me being the oldest and everybody knew me because she had me when she was 15.
Mhm.
So for me to be, when for nobody to be able to see me, and these are people that used to have me all the time, these are cousins that's only maybe 10 years older than me.
Okay.
I have aunts that's only about 5 years older than me.
Mm.
Like nobody was in a position to be like, oh, I'll take the kids. Cause there's kids, they was almost, most of them was kids themselves, and the adults was going through their own
Mhm.
life trauma. So nobody knew.
Wow. Um, I'm when I hear this, my own experience through my brother, he lost all three of his, my nieces and my nephew. But the way it happened and how they got broke up, I don't want to revisit that. But listening to the system, we look to this to say, here's a means for you if you cannot handle the pressures of being a parent. We have these resources available. Utilize these resources. You utilize these resources, and then families are being broken up, children are being traumatized, and the ball is literally being dropped because of what these children are going through. And we have these caseworkers who have these astronomical caseloads, and there's miscommunication, there's no communication, there's no connection. And then you have the situations that are going on where you have large families, okay? And I'm talking about those that know because we knew. And a few of us did show up to try to take those kids in. And what is heartbreaking is how this strains the children because these are things set up to help those that cannot help themselves. And when you have a family dynamic where, you know, You're supposed to be a family. We're supposed to look out for each other. But then the children fall through the cracks. Then the children are left to pretty much fend for themselves, find family, try to connect, try to live through trauma, and you are adolescents. So it's heartbreaking. It's disappointing. And the inspiration comes from your resilience. I want to tell you that I'm very touched, but really hurt. Really hurt. I'll never see my aunt, my nieces and nephew. I'll never see them again. So when we hear about these things and we're like, they're not in a good place at home, they need someplace to go. And if this is all we got to give to take these children in, to care for them and protect them, then I'm really scared. I really am scared. And I'm very disappointed at the 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 state of our system when it comes to caring for our youth. It's unfortunate because there are people looking to be parents to children that really need it.
Right.
But for some reason they can't get past the red tape of what you just shared with us. So yeah, that is disappointing, it's disheartening, it's heartbreaking, but I am still inspired by hearing how you took it upon yourself to go and give your mother a second chance, how you tried to make amends and bring your siblings together. There is inspiration in that. That's where I find the inspiration, because I'm like, man, where's our sense of family? And you epitomize family is what you make it.
So
So I am inspired by that.
the listener that said that they took the sister's children from the grandma when the grandma died, they said that their family, they know what was happening, but no one would step up but her. She took her sister's children, and she said now the family are saying to her that if it had not been for her, the children would have been in the system.
And they would have been separated.
And they would have been separated. But the family of these children who knew that these children needed this type of help wouldn't help.
Yeah.
And now that this sister took these children, raised these children, treat these children like they her children, even though she was done parenting.
Mm.
And she started over. And now these people in her family are saying to her, well, if it hadn't been for you, they would have been in the system. So this is where we are. I want y'all to take a look at a website called throughproject.org. They have a few stats on there, and they talk about mentors and foster care. But some of the stats they have, each year, thousands of children on their 18th birthday age out of foster care. Okay. That's somewhere around, their number for that is somewhere around 20,000.
They have nowhere to go.
Right. And then they say that I'm sorry, that's 49%.
Mm.
The ones going to who actually graduate from school, that's about 73%. Okay. Homelessness, 50%. That's what Reba just said, no place to go.
But they did, at least from where I'm from, they have started programs in even before aging out. It's called independent living. It's they programs for kids that couldn't stay at where they at, or did couldn't live where they was living. The foster parent was like, okay, you're 18, you gotta go. But long as they was in school and doing or worked in school and doing what they supposed to do, it was independent living where they will provide housing for them until they're 21. 25, sorry. And then they also had a place called Valley Youth Housing, youth where I was in, which was the people who aged out or removed themselves from the system.
If you're listening in Philadelphia, please listen to what she's saying. She's giving you some
And
places.
they had a place called Youth Valley Housing will help you find housing, and they will pay for your housing um until you're I believe it was 23, 24. Uh, so and they will provide you. Now, if you didn't have no children, you would roommate with somebody else in the program. But if you have children, you'll get the housing on your own. You know, you will be in the housing with you and your children, but they will pay your rent, and all you have to do is pay your bills. Like, so they is teaching you to work, be responsible, but you won't be out on the streets. And the programs work. I was in a program until I aged out of it. Um, and then you have to be able to manage everything else on your own after that.
This same website, throughproject.org, 25% of adoptee foster care children will be involved in criminal justice system within 2 years of aging out.
Mhm. I'm surprised that number is so low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you
So
say that if there were mentors or or
that's what this program
people
is
to
about,
talk
is
to?
giving foster care people mentors. I'm sorry to cut you off,
I'm
but that's
sorry.
what this Through
We
project
have mentors.
is about mentoring.
Like
We
Go
have
keep
through
going.
while you were going through the while you all were foster children going through, like you had like mentors that you could go to.
so back home, it was a program. At 16, you join this program. It's called AIC Center,
Mm-hmm.
Achievement Independent Center, where it
Mm-hmm.
teach you life skills and, just dealing, stuff to prepare yourself for when you got older. We had the mentoring program through there. You had lifestyles, you had budgeting, management, housing, you had cooking classes. I took my first hospitality class course through there, and that's where I realized I liked to do wanted to be in the hospitality field and plan. So they have this program help you, and you get certificates for doing different things. A lot of the kids took advantage of the programs this program offered, but then some of the kids used it just as a way of being able to get off of their out of their home for a few hours, or out of the placement homes they were in for a few hours, and didn't really utilize what was being offered. But they have programs. Now, I don't know about other states, but in
Right.
Philadelphia, that's what they offer to us. I know every state is different when it comes to the foster care system and it comes to the Department of Human Service system. But if I'm not mistaken, most states do try to offer smaller programs for like similar to that, and just
Mm-hmm.
finding and utilizing what it is. And it's for even if you're adopted before 16, and at 16, it's still you could still be a part of those programs to get just to help you with less like just living life on your
Mm-hmm.
own. So preparing you to live on your own.
Okay.
And it's the mentoring programs, they work because they listen to you. We did fun things. Every year we used to go to the Sixers on home opening, and
Mm-hmm.
we used to have activities and talking, and you and your mentor would do things one on one, and you pair with somebody that have the same interests as you, and the same, that will understand you, and not just anybody, because you pair with somebody and you don't talk. What's the point?
Right. Right.
I
Okay.
had wanted to swing back when you were saying about families. Now, granted, even though I went and looked for my mom, it didn't last.
Mm,
I only lived with her less than a year before I moved back home, back to my last foster parents. And
mm,
then I started paying rent because I was no longer living there. I didn't have a problem with paying them rent because they took me back. They let me come back in.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
I didn't talk. I gave her another chance when I found out I was pregnant with my son. I went and visited her. By this time, she was living in Jersey. I gave her two more chance. I talked to her. I gave her two more chances after I found out after my son was born. Um, and I didn't talk to her. Uh, but before she passed, before she was on her hospice bed, we hadn't talked in over 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because of she still had not had been able to take responsibility for her actions and the role that played for us to be in foster care, was placed in foster care. And I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't deal with that no more. So I hadn't talked to her for over 15 years before she was placed in hospice. Before I got that phone call from a family member saying, hey, you need to call her your siblings and let them know your mom is in the hospital and she's not doing good.
So,
I do appreciate how you did try to reach out. And I never understood that. Why would a child traumatized and they're old enough to know, try to go back to that parent? I never understood that with my own half brother, but he did. And I guess it's that bond that you all have, because that's still a family. That's still your mom, that's still your parent. And I could really I didn't understand that, but listening to how you put that, it does kind of make more sense now. But it is inspirational how you chose to try to, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to give it a chance. But then at the same time, when you saw it wasn't going to work, you just cut those ties, realizing it just wasn't going to be healthy for you. And I just want to ask, when you realized that, how did that make you feel after going through all that and giving her a chance, and then you finally realize, okay, this is just not going to work?
I
How
was
did that make you
heartbroken.
feel?
I was
Okay.
still heartbroken because um, I'm the oldest of all these kids. I've been with her. I grew with her. Like before I was, like I said, she was 15 when she had me. It was me and her. So like me as a mother, and it was me and my son a long time before my daughter was born.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like me and my son been through, he been through everything with me. All the moving, all the just drama, just me, me feeling like I couldn't do it no more. But he still was there with me. And it was just like it only hurt me more because I'm like, she gave up on me. But then it's like you contradict yourself because she told my sisters in one breath, I lied about being sexually assaulted.
wow.
But in that same sentence, without a period, but I didn't know your dad was a child molester.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm,
It hurt to my core. And after that, I just stopped talking to her
wow.
because you just contradicted yourself in one breath
Mm-hmm.
and you're not taking responsibilities for not being able to be there protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the crazy part is since her passing and reconnecting with like more family, because I had to go back to Philadelphia and we had to communicate and find more family and family who I don't remember, but remember me like it was no tomorrow. And the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I learned, it makes sense because a
Mm-hmm.
hurt person is only going to hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the things that was being done to me, she couldn't believe that it was happening to her child of the same things that was happening to her when she was a child. But I didn't know none of it because she never opened up and talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
When we had a chance to talk, when she knew that this was, we're adults now, and she still couldn't open up and take responsibility. Like, I'm sorry I didn't believe you, but nobody believed me when this was happening to me. So this is why I couldn't believe you. I had to find out these things after she's no longer here to tell me her story.
Mm-hmm.
So like I learned in a week's time of me preparing for her funeral, I learned so much more things. And even though it didn't give me the closure I wanted, it gave me the closure I needed.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the people that really did help you? Like, do you have any thoughts about that? Do you love them, hate them, no thoughts at all? Like, how do you feel about the people in your life who actually really, really stepped out there and helped you?
I appreciate them to the fullest. Um, because even though they were there to help me, we still had our ups and downs. So for them, for what they did to help me progress and to seeing the things and help me and be there for me at the time that I needed them, I'm truly thankful and I appreciate every step of it. Um, my last foster parent, she passed away when my son was about 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and I always said I appreciated her for being there, for never giving up on me. No matter how many fallouts, how many times I threatened to leave, how many times I said I was going to run away, how many times I said I hated it there. No matter what I did, she never gave up on me. When I moved in with my mom and then that didn't work and she drove and came and got me and brought me back. And for that, she will always have a place in my heart for that. Now extended family outside of that, they was there, but they was there. I felt like they were there because she was there and that was her family.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that's close to me. My one best friend, I have two really good best friends. One that I had since I was 10 and one I had since I was 16. And both of them, I can go to them and talk to them about anything and everything. No judgment. They always be there. If I can be I've been in here in Texas 2 years. My one best friend's been down here at least she twice and ready to come back down to visit me again.
Mm-hmm.
Like I be like, we out. I gotta go on vacation. She'd be like, where we going?
Mhm.
I need somebody just to talk to and cry to, and not even just to talk to. I just need to just let me cry on your shoulder. I needed a place to stay. She let me stay at her place. I needed help with my kids. She had me. I needed money. My phone was cut off or my electric was off. She found a way to help me get some cash to get that back on.
Mm-hmm.
I love her to the core.
And I'm
Like,
glad you found that love too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you found that love, that support.
Can she
And
love me like that?
I
Okay, I'm just playing up.
know I need a friend. I ain't got no friends. So she want another friend.
Well, yeah, I listen. I don't know. We might not have to have you come back on because
Yeah.
we've been able to touch on not just foster care, but on so many different topics today. Um, y'all like, subscribe, follow, but yeah, we don't want to keep. Look, she already got to go see about her kids, y'all. We don't need to have her on here on into the night.
no,
I
you
know.
see, you don't see her keep walking back and forth trying
I
to.
saw that little head again. I saw that little head. I'm like, yeah, she all like, mama,
Yeah.
mom,
You,
hello.
yeah, I mean, you just don't know how happy I am to have you come and talk with us today.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been wow. I listen, I knew the story. I was inspired by the story.
Mhm.
I heard the story again, and I'm over here trying to back the tears again, inspired
Yeah.
again by the story. You are one of the most strongest women I know.
Thank you.
And I am so happy to be able to say that I know you.
This
I
is one of
mean,
the first this is probably maybe the first or second time I'm able to tell my story without like completely like drenched in
Yeah.
tears.
Yeah, you almost had me over here. I was trying to bad it back. I was over here. I mean, this was nothing short of amazing to have you here and share your story during adoption month, National Adoption Month. And I want you all to, if you live in the Philadelphia area, to take some of those places that Reva talked about if you need those, that type of help. Also, they now have a system now in the United States that if you dial 988, just three numbers, 988, it will connect you with a mental health professional. The Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It used to be called the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Okay. But now it's just dial 988. And we will have in the liner notes, because I was so busy listening to the story, y'all. I didn't put the links down there. But when you come back, you'll have the links down there where I wanted the links for the crisis hotline and some other places if you contemplating suicide. If you are a family member or a friend of someone, don't be afraid to intervene. If you see them hurting, and sometimes it's hard when someone is depressed because they mask it, but don't be afraid to try to get them some help. If you got to put them in the car and tell them y'all going shopping, and then tell them, wait a minute, come on, I got to stop in here for a minute because I need to get my medicine, and tell them to go in there with you. And then when you get in there, say, doctor, here she is. Okay. People are hurting and need help, and who better to help them than those of us who are closest to them? So I come back, watch the episode again. I'll have those links in there for you. I even just found a new one called the Kate Foundation, and I'll have that link in there for you. Also, I'll have a link in there for you to report child abuse. If you see it, report it. If you see it, report it. None of this, I don't want to get involved in people's lives. It's not my business. If a child is being hurt, it's your business. It's your business. So I'll have that link in there as well. But again, thank you so much, Reva, for joining us, inspiring us, for your courage, for your resilience. And we know that you touched one person, because they told us right away. They was like, ooh, she inspired me. So that's a good thing. Red Dragon.
I just want to add, if you're in the St. Louis area, there is the Crisis Nursery. There are also different suicide, teenage suicide. There is the Safe Place. Find you a fire station with the Safe Place placard on it. And again, if you are a friend, a cousin, a sister cousin of someone who you know is being abused, look, I'd rather them hate me and I saved their life by saying something than knowing and seeing them hurting, and then one day they're gone. And I could have did something to say or intervene. So piggybacking off of that, yes, please intervene. It is your business. And if you family like you say you are, then act like it. Protect and
Also,
look out for one another.
Also, if there is a program like Big Brothers, Big Sisters in your area,
There is.
try to see if you can join that and be a mentor. Um, Go to like this through program, through project. Try to be a mentor in the foster care system, if you can. As we heard tonight, there is a need. There is a need.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't be waiting until Christmas to give someone some toys, because they need more than toys. Oh, the toys are great. You can send me some toys if you want to. Send me some. You got my email. You can send me some e-gift cards. But adoptive children, foster care children, they need more than toys. They need more than toys. They need the toys too, but they need more than toys. So try to join a mentoring program in your area, wherever you are viewing us from. Red Dragon, where can they connect with you on social media?
You guys can find me on Instagram as RedDragonThePoet. You can also catch me as Infused Black Butterfly on Instagram and Facebook. And you can catch me on Facebook as Trap Tree. Baby, I got all different personalities. And I'm always talking to encourage and inspire. So check me out.
Now, I want to thank you for listening tonight. Tune in next week on our next episode. Because that's November 20th. That's another adoption story. Because we are honoring National Adoption Month with a couple of stories about adoption. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Listen here on YouTube as well. Visit our webpage and listen to the new song on Faith's playlist. Don't forget to go and check us out. And remember, as always, we're a masterpiece, not angry.
Never that.
Never that. We're a masterpiece, not angry. And we'll see you next time here on an Angry Black Woman podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.